down, and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to do it.
Joining us now is Bob Proctor, New York Times best-selling author, lecturer, and counselor.
And I am here today with Bob Proctor.
Started the hit movie The Secret, which reached millions and millions of people around the globe.
Described as preaching the gospel of positive thinking.
I want you to really pay close attention. This is not an ordinary film that you're watching. You and I can literally create the life we want. If you will focus on what I'm suggesting, I'm going to show you how to do it. Learn to make the passage of time an ally, a supportive teammate that is encouraging you, cheering you on. These ideas are coming from 57 years of focused study by myself and tens and tens of years by Napoleon Hill. You're going to find these 13 principles will change your life like night and day. You can use these films as a mentor. You can. You can let me be your mentor. The ideas that got the Wright brothers off the ground, that enabled Henry Ford to build the car he built. These ideas, they're the ideas that you can have. Faith is the ability to see the invisible, see something no one else can see, to believe in the incredible. And that will permit you to receive what the masses call impossible.
See, it's not just the law of attraction. People have to start to understand themselves. I don't even think we have to slow down.
Hello there and welcome. Do you know, you and I are supposed to be here. We're in the right place at the right time.
Hello and welcome. My name is Kieran and I am an associate here at Dynamite Lifestyle, and I am very happy, proud and grateful to be here welcoming you to this next session in our Bob Tribute Week. I'm sure you'll all agree it's been a phenomenal week so far. It's been very powerful. All the material, the teachings, the lives, the meditations in the morning. It's been so powerful. I know I've gotten so much out of it. I can feel my awareness growing day by day, my burning desire expanding, and I hope you do too. So myself and Brian are here today to talk to you about none other than Bob Proctor, of course, but a very special part of that, and that is his relationship with Think and Grow Rich, why we read Think and Grow Rich, and hopefully how we can inspire you to continue on Bob's legacy and Bob's study with Think and Grow Rich. So Brian, I want to start off, first of all, and ask you, what was it that piqued your interest about Think and Grow Rich, and why have you decided to dedicate so much time to studying this great book?
Cheers, Kieran. It's an incredible honor again, as Kieran said there, just to be on this week for paying tribute to the master thinker himself. It's the master thinker who has changed my life and changed Kieran's life through the teachings and materials he's been in. But why read Think and Grow Rich? Well, for me, it was all in the title. Now, I picked up the book it was years ago, but I never read it, Kieran. You know, I never bothered getting into it. And I wanted to be rich. Everybody wants to be rich. So if there's a guy here who says you can think and grow rich, well, that sounds a lot easier than me struggling a day-to-day, 40-hour week working as an electrician. So I decided to implement his lifestyle and his thinking. And you know what? The background kind of dictates. I'm sitting here with a couple of lights and stuff to try and keep the lighting right. Kieran was saying to me, I says, I want to keep this in the background because this is the result of what I've been taught, the teachings and stuff. And I'm here today because of it. And I'm living in what Bob just talked about there, Kieran, was impossible. What we perceive as impossible now, what we have got on to do and what we're doing right now is impossible. For what we have done is incredible. And it's through this teachings of Bob's perception of these 13 principles that are in Think and Grow Rich that I have now implemented on a daily basis that keep showing up in my life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Kieran, there's just being rich in every aspect. I'm rich in all aspects of my life right now. And it's only because of me going into the self-study of our understanding the 13 principles that Bob talked about in this book. So yeah, what about yourself?
So yeah, very similar, same as everyone. You know, I found every single personal development video on YouTube. I've watched it started reading the book, started listening to the speakers, and I just found a common denominator of how everybody spoke about Think and Grow Rich. So that made me, look into that more, which led me to finding Errol and Bob. And then that's just when the game changed. That's when I went from being in personal development to looking for results and riches. I said, okay, personal development, I feel good, I'm motivated, but I was just motivated to do the same. But when I found Think and Grow Rich and I found Bob, and Bob was shouting down YouTube telling me to think, stop and think. That's when I really started to think. And that has led me on to what I've done today. So same as everyone, I started off, I actually got the book. I ordered it from Amazon the day it landed. I just sat there for 8 hours straight and read the first 100 pages. Now, whenever you hear me say that, that's believable now, because Kieran now could do that. But Kieran that picked up this book, even Kieran, for me to go and order a book on Amazon was unheard of, let alone sit there for hours upon end on a Saturday reading it. And I think that is just a testament to the power that's in this book. And even the fact that what I always say to people, it does not impress me how many times you've read the book. By their fruits, you'll know them. You always hear Bob saying that. Bob doesn't say, I've read this book X amount of times. Bob says, I've studied this book for 60 plus years. And there's a difference between reading and studying. And that's what I've gone on to learn from Bob, that it doesn't matter what you read. It matters what you study. It matters what you internalize. It matters what you live, who you are, and what that does to your being. So for me, that's it. Same as everyone. Found it through YouTube, found it through motivational videos. But once, as I said, I found Bob, which ultimately led me to Kim and Dynamite Lifestyle, and has led me to the life that I'm living today. But it all came from Bob on this book for me, for sure.
It was just that match that lit for you, buying the book, Kieran, you told me it was one of your, and this is the thing about it is, the people who's around, Kieran told me it was somebody, a boss told you, because somebody had to tell you about Think and Grow Rich, you just didn't pick it up, and somebody told you to go and read it. And Kieran was obviously tracking something and thinking in it, but he attracted that, and then he attracted Bob, and then he moved on. And it's, and that's the kind of thing that I love, because once you start this wheels and you light something, and then if you pour more fuel onto the fire, boom, this is when you start to get a thing like a little small amount of heat gives a small amount of fire, gives a small amount of heat. And what Kieran did then is start to cement more and more of these beliefs and these understandings. Isn't that right?
Totally, yeah. And again, it's a storybook the first time you read it. Well, for me, it was complete fiction. Oh, great. You can, be rich. You can think, you can do this. Even when I met Bob, I was like, okay, so I took this pen from my pocket in Maplewood Avenue and I built a company all over the world. I'm watching there going, yes, I would love to do that. But it wasn't until I started trying it and started getting around people who else have done it and had shown me how to do it, that I actually started to appreciate the message behind the words. And I think that's a big takeaway from even for this week, that Bob, it's not only the words he's saying. Sometimes it's what he's not saying. It's usually where he's leading you to think. Because remember, it's think and grow rich, not hear the words, do a little bit of action and grow rich. It's think and grow rich. That Bob always says success is 95% mindset, 5% strategy. And I think that 95%, we could call that 95% thinking, 5% doing.
When you think about it, Kieran, you were very much like Bob, and that's a nice compliment I paid you there, Kieran.
Yeah,
by the way, very much. He's happy with that. He can go with that. But the thing about it is, Bob was working, and he met a guy that said that your way's not working. How about trying mine? And that's when he was introduced to the book. Kieran was complaining. You had good money. You were doing things all right, but you just never could get by any further. And you were cutting on inside. You felt, and you told me when you're living in paradise, which would be San Diego, but inside you knew there was something wrong. And it's just different. Some boy said to you, Kieran, if it's not working, try this way. And
totally, and that's it. And that, Bob always tells that same story of, your way's not working, try mine. You're always broke, you're always sick, you're always lost. And for me, I wouldn't say I was those things. I was in a good place, definitely. As you say, I lived in paradise. I had a great life, but I knew there was more, and that's the difference. Absolutely. One thing that destroys my soul is being told when to eat my lunch. Oh my God. I can't take that. You eat at 1 o'clock and you finish at 1:30, and I just don't like that. Now, I can eat whenever I want. And it's a silly little thing, but, I set my own alarm. I eat when I want. These are silly things, but to me, they're not big things now, obviously. But at the start, whenever I got that freedom, and nothing changed, only me, my mindset. So the freedom was in me all the time. And you watching this today, it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, male, female, watching this on the phone, laptop, crap phone, the best laptop. It doesn't matter. The freedom you're seeking is in you. And that's what Bob and this book inspires. And that's what myself and Brian are inspiring people to do, to look inside, go within, don't go without.
And it was the greatest thing what you talked about there, Kieran, is being told what to do, being told how to, 15 minutes for a lunch break. I was an electrician back in the trade. Kieran worked on site as well. So we basically were getting a newspaper, getting your lunchbox under your arm. And, nothing, it's not really bad, but I mean, Kieran was like me. There was something more and knew there was more. And every time we would do 5 days, it would be a couple of big drinking days. But the thing about it turned out for me, I knew there was something more, and it was this material, it was this kind of understanding that came to me. And through that, going on this holiday here, I didn't have to ask one person for a day off. Yeah. That is one of the greatest gifts. Now, I've only been doing it like 12 months now, working for myself, my own company, working on myself. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And see now the reflection of my results, because I know that I persisted. And me and Kieran's going to cover that now. It's Bob Proctor did one thing in this chapter, and we and Kieran have studied it, is persistence is his greatest chapter. And Kieran will be talking a bit about it there now. I found that once I persisted with the ideas of the thinking, the mind, our thoughts truly become things. And when we started this material, we started out, the results don't show, and they never did show like the next week. It didn't show the next day. And this is the thing about us. Like me and Kieran both were not getting the results we wanted. And normally everybody else gives up and let's go. But we knew somewhere deep down, and Kieran will probably say it was deep down, it was a desire that we knew there was more. There was a higher being and infinite intelligence that we talk about speaking to and through us. And we just kept persisting because that's what Bob said to do. And we did it. And I can tell you now, that no 15-minute break, that no 30-minute having to be told when to eat your thing, when to turn up, what days you're allowed off. You can't do this. You can't. Oh my God. That literally that's what kills people, You're killing your dreams every day. You're building somebody else's dream instead of building your own. And that persistence for me got me exactly where I'm at today. And it's got you, Kieran, where you're at today as well.
100%. And as you said, this is one of Bob's favorite chapters. He was asked before in an interview which one he would pick, and he picked this. And again, that makes me think, because I always like to think, whatever Bob says, I take it and I do it. Or same with Kim. Kim does the same. And whatever Kim tells me to do, I'll go and straight and do it. But it always leads me to think, why are they telling me that? What am I not seeing here? What am I not aware of? So when Bob said that his favorite chapter out of his favorite book is persistence, and I look at the timeline of his success, that's something I want to do. I want to be successful just like Bob. So I'm going to do what Bob done, study persistence. Why is it that Bob said to study persistence? And there's a bit in the chapter, it says that it doesn't matter what talents or abilities you have. There's no attributes to a character like persistence. And if you've got persistence, you will win. And that just sums it up. You will win if you persist. And, there's so many stories. Again, this was a storybook to me when I first read it. It was great. The thoughts of Thomas Edison, that's cute. And, not giving up. And the lady who broke Broadway by not giving up. And it was all great. But it wasn't through until I studied and understood and realized, hold on, these stories are teaching me that I can do it, that you can do it. And that, when you take Bob's teaching back with this book, it just changed the whole game. Now, every time I read the book, I see something completely different in it. That it says, your persistence or lack of persistence is dependent entirely upon your desire. So that sentence alone, like you just pick words out of this book and talk about them for hours. But when you look at, I want this or I want that, do you really? All right, do you want it enough to not give up? Do you want it enough to have the door slammed in your face 10 times? Do you want it enough to fall on your face 10 times? Do you want it enough to be laughed at 10 times? Because until you can answer yes, to that, you don't want it. But when you can answer yes to that, that's when your want becomes a desire. And that's when you've got the keys to unlock your desire and get what you want. You know, when we always think about, Brian, you know, I'm always laughing that, you know, Bob took the pen and paper and, you know, I was in Maplewood Avenue. I wrote down I was going to have a company that operates all over the world. And again, when I think about that, he's not telling us what he done. He's telling us what you can do. And there's a difference. And when you realize that Bob isn't teaching us about how he created his company, yes, he is, but he's doing it to make you aware that you can do the same. So when we just stop and think about that, like it's crazy.
And that's true, Kieran. Like, you know, so like Bob didn't do his whole life. Look at me, this is what I'm doing. Look at me, this is what I'm doing. Everything he done was for the good of another, because he knew an ultimate law that a service. Like, and he literally he was so enthusiastic about this material, and he drove himself mad. Like 60 bloody years reading the one book. Who on earth does that? People can't read it for 6 days. He done it for 60 years. What you know, at the end of the day, like, what more are you going to learn out of it if you've read it once, Kieran? Me and Kieran have read this about 15 times. I've listened to an Audible. I've listened to it forward, listened to it backwards. Every time we do it, we read it. Me and him are getting on, and we do our own reading groups within our company in Dynamite Lifestyle. And we and him, like, literally, we were not supposed to be on, but we just torn up because we were so excited about reading the chapter and studying it with others. And we listen to other people's because their perceptions see it differently than we can see it. Helps us, but Kieran, most of all, what we and him have seen, we don't see something different in the book every time. We see something different in us, and that's called awareness. Awareness is the greatest gift that you can have given to yourself, and Bob has taught us that. And he must have, Kieran, you said about Bob, he would keep open a page, not even a chapter, by the way. He would keep open a page, and the man would just sit and read it for weeks, wouldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, you know, Kim always had the wee, you know, you see him as we sitting out there, the book was just sitting there. And he would just understand, what is this saying to me? What is Napoleon Hill trying to say? By the way, the words in this book, you know, you think about it, Andrew Carnegie was the richest man in the world at the time, and he got Napoleon Hill to narrate the principles of success. And the thinking on that, he didn't go and write about what he was success. He took it from 2,500 people, you know, it was the top 500 people in the world. He assessed them, and Henry Ford's and all, what they had, and they did say that there was no substitute for persistence. And each and every one that was ever success, and how he studied them 500 richest people, every one of them had no substitute but persistence. That's what I'm saying. There was no substitute for it at all. And that's what you got to understand. If there's one chapter, and if you're in this material and you've dipped your toes in, and if you're joining us in this Dynamite Lifestyle for the first time, it's only going to through persistence that you're going to get them wake-ups and them ideas. Bob has left us in the physical plane, but he is so much with me and Kieran every day now, more closer, because we know that he's on the spiritual plane now, speaking to and through us in this call, wanting us to deliver his message, and his legacy then can go on forever. And I you know, that's where me and Kieran we were persistent. There's literally, me and him done this Think and Grow Rich, and we did it every single Thursday night for a year without stop. And maybe, what was there? Maybe 12 people turning up sometimes, maybe no. We didn't care because we were addicted to it.
Yeah.
And that was persistence. You know, we were laughing because nobody was turning up, and me and him were just screaming, "Oh my God, it's not gold, it's not gold." Yeah. And we come off and say how amazing it was. Whether people were watching that, we were buzzing because there's an energy force with Bob, or somebody was teaching us. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, I was just laughing there. I remember the week that there's nobody there. We had to just pretend like we were talking to people.
but we didn't turn it off. And you know, and that was the thing. Like, it's just interesting, Kieran. Like, you know, that's if we went on all our results today and we kept looking at them, you wouldn't get up and go and do this. Well, you wouldn't get up and do your gratitude in the morning. You wouldn't get up and look right out your goal. You wouldn't have your goal card. Because you know why? You'd just be deflated. And we didn't. We just learned. We've got awareness and understanding that we get persistent. Yeah, and exactly. I love that.
And I think that's, you know, again, Bob's always trying to teach us messages, you know, as is every mentor. You know, Kim always does that like a mentor can never tell you what to do. They can lead you to help you think and make your own choices and decision. And we've all heard Bob talk about decision, how important that is. But again, it's persistent in your decision. And there's so much, like, if you look again to go back when Bob tells a story about how he left the Nightingale Conant Corporation and he decided, I'm going to make a company that operates all over the world. There was no internet, there's no Zoom, there's no smartphones, there was no Google, there's no YouTube, there's no Facebook, there's none of the things that we use today. There was none, like if Bob didn't have Zoom with a virtual background like Brian has here, there was nothing like that. None of that existed. So how could you go from pen and paper to a company that operates all over the world? He didn't know how. That was step 9, 10, and 11. Step 1 is making the decision, taking your pen, writing down, having a goal card. This is what I'm going to do. You know, writing your affirmation. Like I've got my affirmations in front of me constantly. So even when I'm talking, I can see it out of the corner of my eye. I'm telling myself I'm wonderful, I'm great, I'm strong, I can do this, you're doing great. And this is how I'm talking to myself, because remember, Bob always talks about the stick man, about how our thoughts become things through our subconscious mind. And that's what happens. These are triggers. Bob, again, always pulls out the goal card. This is a trigger. It triggers the images. We think in images and they come to pass. And it's just, it's all about that. Like, Brian, I know I'm messing saying it's a virtual background, but how long did you see this image in your mind before now you're holding it in your hand?
See the way like we're thinking, and Kieran's just taking up exactly the thing that I want. There was, you know what my picture was? My picture was to be sitting out, and I mean, I knew what I wanted to do. Sitting out, take a picture of a beer in my hand, and that's all I focused on, for having my pool in front of me and that bloody background. And literally, I was obsessed about it. And this here, what I'm talking to you right now, is I was obsessed. Kieran was always saying about the background clothes. No, I seen this in my dream. I wanted to work while I was in the Maldives in a paradise island in the background. And this, when people tell me it's impossible, away. You know, everybody talks things are impossible. I was fit to fly here in business class the whole way in the luxury, having a bed, and it was 25 hours. But what did we do? Bob always says, treat your standard, place it in thing. And he always says, won't you start flying in that kind of lifestyle? There is no other lifestyle for you anymore. You've built a new self-image. You've built yourself on a new plane of understanding that this is possible. I'm on an island here, and it literally is, you're less than a kilometer. You can walk right around it. And the thing about it is, Ken, there's 300 people, 300 staff, and there's only 150 guests, 2 for every person. And they know you by name and stuff, because that is the standard and that's the quality and you want to live. And it's only through this material impressing onto me. I used to go to Tesco's, right? And I used to buy jeans out of Tesco's. Now, not bad, but I was only getting on that level. So where would I go and stay at the weekend? I went to a hostel that was £10. I stayed at in Belfast, and I went to Dublin. I was staying at £30. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of thing. So when I was doing that, I was getting everything on that plane, that level of vibration that he did. But I have understood this, and my life changed. Boom. From 2 years ago, buying in Tesco's or pairing a pair of jeans, I'm sitting in the Maldives in a luxury island. It's just mind-blowing, Kieran. And that's just you're on about. You get the details, Bob. That's the thing. There's no good you sitting there like Bob with the detail. I want to be talking around the world. No, every country, he said. And we watched him live on a 5-day series that he'd done there last year. There he was actually live into everybody's home. You know, he had every country in the world registered on it. And that was one of the greatest things, to sit there. He didn't know that the world was going to go into this different kind of environment, that he would have to work from a computer. And by the way, think about this here, Kieran. He built a bloody TV studio. Mm-hmm. How did he predict this was going to happen? Exactly. And it was the greatest thing he needed.
Exactly. And that's what I always say, that that's ladder, that's step 9, 10, 11 on the ladder. So if you're looking for step 1, you're not going to see 9, 10, 11. Like when Bob said, I'm going to operate all around the world, he didn't know that he was going to have Zoom, didn't know he was going to have the TV studio. He just made a decision and persisted in it. And like, we could go really, really into that, what that means, but I don't think it matters. The message is there. If you can't see how, it doesn't matter. Why would you see step 9, 10, 11? You need to see step 1. Like Kim always says about baking a cake. If you don't take the bowl out of the cupboard, it doesn't matter how many eggs and flour and sugar you have, because if you crack them, it's just all over the worktop and it's a mess. Yeah. Step 1's get the bowl. Step 1's decide what you want. Take a pen and paper, write it down, write in a goal card, get to work on it and persist in it. You know, I think that's so
powerful. All the steps, Kieran, what you do? Have you seen all the steps? And this is the thing. If I had seen all the steps to get where I'm at today, I would not have took them. I like the idea of staying in the place that I want the wish fulfilled, and just so there's the asking and then going there and everything else in between. If you knew every single step, you wouldn't take it because it's so boring and so, oh my God, I have to do this. That's what people would do. But honest to God, I just keep focusing on what I want. And that's exactly what Bob has taught me. He always says, tell me what you want and I'll show you how to get it. That's what he tells Kim, and Kim Calvert is now launching this biggest tribute, and carrying his legacy ever since then.
Totally. And again, it's persistence. Like, perfect example of Kim. Kim was just like you are right now today, sitting watching YouTube. Started off with, the YouTube, reading book. Well, maybe not reading books, but she was watching YouTube. But the point was, she made a decision of what she wanted, wrote it down, and got after it. And it's just like you can now. And that's what I really want to. The message I want to get across is, when people are telling stories like Bob, Kim, or myself and Brian here, it's not to say, look at what we done. It's to say, look at what you can do. So what I always say to people is, I don't care about you. I care about you. I don't care about your name. I don't care about your job. I don't care about your clothes, your surroundings, your circumstances, your job, your this, your that. I don't care about that. I care about you. I care about what gives life to all of that. I care about the person that's inside your body, that potential, that feeling, that knowing that there's more, that wanting that there's more. And it's that person that you're limiting. That's who I care about. I want to free that, lift the limits, because we're only limited by poverty of imagination and lack of attention. That's what Bob always says. That's all we're limited by. And that when we can step past that, see past that, we can go bigger, better, and faster. He always talks about, if you run a mile, you want to run it quicker. If you make 1 million, you want to make 2. If you do this, you want to do that, because that is the essence of you seeking fuller expansion and expression. That is what it's all about. That's what I care about. That's what I work on every day. And we always catch each other out, Brian, and the rest of the team. And it's so fun, because we always say, oh, I want to do this. We'll do it then. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to go and try and do that now. But it's so fun. Totally.
And that is like a kind of, Bob talks about it in this here, and it's in the chapter, the mastermind, and that is an accountability. If you align yourself with other thinkers and people like that, me and Kieran, we thinking about something, boom, we reach out. I would text him straight away because I was just thinking that. We've done that in the past. Mm-hmm. And it just happened because we are aligned with the mastermind, that our people are always in growth mindset. And we believe in the invisible forces, because that's what the tangible force is in your life, that's going to create everything. Bob talks about everything's created twice, once in the mind of man, then into its physical form. And what people don't understand then, if that's the case, then if I want to create the life that I want, I must first have it in my mind. And that means then, but the thing about it is, people don't know how to think. Kieran rightly says all the time that he says, people would rather die than think. That's what people would rather do, because it isn't thinking, because what you're doing is they're recycling the 90,000 thoughts you had from yesterday and the day before and the day before. And it is just that. We believe, look, me and Kieran knows that when we go to sleep at night, we don't ask for our heart to beat. We don't ask for our lungs to breathe. We don't ask for our body to digest. It does it automatically, because we know of an infinite intelligence. You don't believe it, but yet all that's happening to you every day. Our body stays at the same temperature it is. Literally, it is just up and down. It's keeping us steady. But the same can be said, the temperature in your body, the right temperature it's staying at, is exactly the same with your results. And that's what he always talked about, the paradigm, that program that is running in your life. And that's what Bob literally, it's a paradigm shifter. If you haven't heard of paradigm yet, well, you're very new to this and you're going to get your mind blown. But for me and Kieran, that, when we figured all that out, and we do believe in that, then we'll go and figure out this paradigm, not and do away with it, but overlap it with a new paradigm, a program that we want running. Me and Kieran have been running, if we were running Windows 98 on here, we'd be in big trouble, because I doubt Zoom would work on it, Kieran.
No, definitely not. And that's the perfect example. We're always updating our phones and our computers, but we're not updating ourselves. And that's done through study. It's done through repetition. It's done through belief. It's done through changing the belief. Again, in persistence, it says that riches do not respond to wishes. Napoleon Hill, you always hear Bob quoting that when riches come, if they come at all, they don't come by hard work, perish the thought. And then in persistence, it says riches do not respond to wishes. You need to make the decision, and you need to keep after it. You need to keep after it. And again, that's why I think that, in that interview with Lewis Holmes, Bob said that persistence was his number one chapter because of all the gems that's in there. Again, like we're just picking words. There's pages upon pages of gems in this book, in this chapter. And, I think that's the message behind why Bob said persistence, because if you don't give up and you see it in your mind, you'll hold it in your hand.
And that's exactly, there's so many things that we're talking about. There's a wee note in here, and we're talking about behind it all, Kieran, we talk about is behind love. We know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always another story in here about the lady that went after, the King of England. She persisted in her place for love, and it was love backed by desire, that she would ever take the most eligible bachelor in the world. She took him out of that place. He gave up his throne to go into love, but that was persistence by her, and she was an age where people would not look fondly upon that age. We're thinking he could have been any woman in the world, but he done it for King Edward. It was, and it was that. There's a wee poem there, we quote on it there. Blessed is the man who has come to know that our muted thoughts are our sweetest thoughts. Blessed is the man who from the blackest depths can see the luminous figure of love, and sing and say, sweeter far than uttered lays are the thoughts I have of you. I love that there. It gives me goosebumps. That's everything that we do in our life. We're always backed by love. And Bob has taught us that when we do it, we say we might want the beautiful holidays, we might want this year, but it's what we want to do it for others. We want to do that. And I know that the larger expression that I can be of myself, I can then show others to be the same. And I didn't know that. And Kim has told me that. And a lot of people come on, Kieran, around the world. We speak to people all over the world. A lot of people book calls for ourselves. And everybody on there, they never talk about helping themselves. Everyone wants to start a charity and everybody wants to help others. But know what I always say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So Kim taught me to fill up my cup, and Bob, he made us sure that we overflowed with it. So when somebody comes looking and needs service, you're in a place of service at all times because you fill your cup up every day. Bob done it with awareness. That's the reason why he studied every day. Even in his late age there, he was still studying because he knew there was unlimited. And that's, Kieran talked about it, that there is no limits in our life. It's only that place that we place upon our mind.
Definitely. And it's exciting. Like even when I'm speaking or listening to you speak, Brian, I'm going, right, where am I limiting myself? Because that's the beauty about this, that even that's why it's not read the book X amount of times and you'll get the secret. At the start of the book, Napoleon Hill says there's a secret in this book for anyone who's willing to find it. And I heard in an interview before someone asked Bob what the secret was, and he wouldn't tell them. Because I believe it's a perception. I think you need to figure it out. And that if I can tell you, or you can tell me to go and do something, it doesn't mean I'm going to go and do it, because we don't do what we know we should do. And that comes down to our paradigm, or no and doing gap. Why do I not do what I know I should do? Paradigm. That's what Bob is always repeating. And whenever you hear Bob repeating something, there's a reason. Again, Bob doesn't say anything for no reason. He says everything on purpose, and that's to get you to think. So when we go, okay, why do I not do what I know I should do? The paradigm. Okay, what is the paradigm? It's the multitude of habit and beliefs in my subconscious mind. And even in persistence, in the chapter in persistence, it says that your subconscious mind works continually while you are asleep or while you are awake. So just think about that. Your subconscious mind is running always. So if your subconscious mind's always running, you better persist. Because if you don't persist, you won't keep up. Just think about that. When your subconscious mind is running all the time, that's your life. You're always living. You're always alive. You're alive. So your subconscious mind is running. You need to persist in pointing that towards what you want. And that's what we need to do. That if you've got a goal, you need to know where you want to point it first. And you need to keep pointing it. Because, like imagine taking a dog for a walk. You can't expect that dog to walk in an absolute straight line right in front of you at all times. No way. Someone would be crazy to think that it's going to run over, it's going to chase a squirrel, it's going to bark at a tree, it's going to, go over here, it's going to run around you and wrap you up with the dog leash. But if you know I'm going to the park, and then from the park to the coffee shop, and then from the coffee shop home, you can take the dog on that walk by persisting, straightening it when it goes, pulling it back in line. And that's just a silly analogy of how this is, that when you know where you're going and you persist in it, even if your dog goes over here, even if you fail, if you laugh, if you fall on your face, pull it back, pull it back. Your paradigm stops you, break through, pull it back, keep going.
Kieran, the secret is in the simplicity.
Mhm.
That's the reason why it is. It's all very simple. There's nothing more you're going to get. There's nothing more you're going to have to be. Inside is you've got all the things like Bob talks his book, You Were Born Rich. We've heard it all this week, but we're listening to it. Bob knows that everything that you need to succeed. That's why he was obsessed about it. He continued because he literally just wake up and you can, when Bob he raises his voice, it's just like, and we know now because it's like, are you joking me? It is so simple.
Mhm.
And that is literally what Kieran said. He used a silly analogy, but it was a simple analogy because people say, oh, Kieran, now that's what. No, but it is that simple. The secret in every story. The secrets in every story in that book, there's hundreds of them. The wee girl can only get the 50 cents, lad. That is one of and that is powerful in the introduction. And she overcome, and that was one of the best things I ever read because I seen what it was. It was desire, it was the decision, it was persistence, what she made, and that's what everybody needs. And I want to read out the wee poem that Kieran would have liked as well. If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find success begins with the fellow's will, and all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high out to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger, faster man, but soon or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Simple, Kieran. It literally, like me and Kieran are talking about, Bob screamed and roared at it, and we didn't know why, but we really do know that literally, Kieran, what is it when things go wrong in our life? And we're talking about it. First thing and this is the reason why it's such a great experience to be aware. Now, I know me and Kieran haven't even scratched the surface in this material, but we do have a great understanding from the masses that are out there because something goes wrong in our life. What is it we do, Kieran? We go, wonder what I was thinking then to create this. And it's unbelievable. We just get straight into it and we just go, wow, where did this come from? Me and my partner, a bit of a fallout, and I goes, what did I do? Did I think about creating it? Because we know it's all started with us. Everything in our outside is just a reflection of our thinking. And we do it straight away. People wait years before they figure that out. But we're doing it immediately in the action. Sometimes our thoughts are not aligned with everything we always want. But we see it straight away, and that's awareness, Kieran. And that's a great gift because it empowers you. Because when you blame others, you take away your power, and then you take away your lack of understanding. You show your ignorance, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. And that's another big lesson that Bob always teaches is responsibility. Taking responsibility. I'm responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, and every result I get. That's, Bob has that drummed into my head that whatever happens, I am 100% responsible for it. But whenever you take responsibility, that's when you take your power. And it's again, we can relate this straight back to persisting. You have to persist in taking your responsibility. You don't take responsibility once. You need to always take responsibility. And I think that that's a great point, that you're always taking responsibility. Again, in the persistence chapter, it says nobody has become successful without paying the price of persistence. Nobody has success without paying the price of persistence, because if they did, it would be boring. Again, I'm just laughing back to, even when we persist with doing these Think and Grow Rich sessions, we literally done them on Facebook Live for a full year where nobody would show up. Like nobody would be there, and we would be talking, pretending that there's people there. We'd be talking to people knowing that there was nobody watching, is what I mean. But we didn't care because we persisted, and now we get to share this on Bob's tribute. That is absolutely incredible, and that just all comes back to this is it. This is physical proof of what we're saying, that if you persist. So if you start a YouTube channel, if you're on Facebook and have 4 people in your group, it doesn't matter where you're at. You only fail if you quit.
There was a seminar, right, that I think it was your guy that does Mind Valley, Fishing the or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. How his life changed. He went to a seminar and there was only one person there and he was it. And he got so much more value from it. But it's crazy, that could one person always remember that one person that changed your life. If you're on this for a reason today, it has drew you to the likes of Kim Calvert, who is speaking through with Bob's legacy. It is with me and Kieran that we are surrounded and we're very gifted by it. But one person can do it. Kim's changed my life, her teachings, but it was Bob that changed her life. Me and Kieran have been great respect for Bob, but with the way Kim could teach us, and she was only a little girl down the road from us, it blew our mind that this wee girl had the same accent as us, but yet and all she was teaching the same kind of material, because it's very different. I know, Kieran, when you always hear about, you know, American a voice, and you used to think of his TV, it was maybe just not so surreal, but when you see a young girl doing so well.
And that just takes away the paradigm of, oh, it's not for me, I can't because of X, Y, and Z. Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter if you're male, doesn't matter if you're female, you can do it. Like, you know, that if you thought logically, oh, who am I to do this? You'd never do anything. You'd never do anything. Who am I to do this? I'm too young. The next thing, I'm too old. I don't have enough experience. I'm past it. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. If you can serve, and that's it. You know, and I think that's another great lesson from Bob. You know, showed up. I'm sure that there's seminars and speeches Bob done where there's been very little people at it.
Yeah.
You know, and again, we don't see that now. We see him, you know, we see the seminars operating in every country in every world. And that is why where you're at does not matter, because people will remember you for your success.
And that's very true what Kieran says. People don't see, like, you know, people say, oh, very nice, even for me coming over here and having to be in this place. But they don't know that I done writing with my left non-dominant hand for 514 days. They didn't know I got up every single day and did a quote for over 500 days. You know, every single day to give some people think it just automatically comes. Nothing comes overnight, Kieran. Not, you know, things can change overnight, yes. But if you want the greatest results and stuff, it's over a long persistence of a long period of time. If Kieran had said, well, I read Think and Grow Rich, and then he set it to the side, oh, well, I'm supposed to get rich now because I read it. No, Kieran persisted on learning and studying and learning and study. And you know what? When I'm over here, I'm still out with my pen doing my writing, because I know that the seeds I plant today are going to fruit in the near future. I know that I can't give one day away till negative thoughts. I can't give it away, because I know if I don't place something in its place, weeds will take its place. And that's the thing. Like, everybody thinks it just comes straight away, but it doesn't. It is over a period of time that you keep doing. You build on it. And that's what Wayne Kieran has done absolutely over and over. He's not sitting there working with the world's number one. You know, he's there for a reason, because he got up and he done the work. In this book, they talk about it, Kieran, the QQS formula. Quality, quantity, and spirit. Kim picked spirit every time over quality and quantity, because she knows that's all that you ever need in life. She knows in order to build a business, you don't build a business, you build people, and people build a business. That's why, as Kim has been a leader in the world, she can be anywhere at all, but her business still thrives because she has worked on building people who have the spirit. And that's what we do. But we have only got the spirit. Why, Kieran? Why do we have the spirit? Because we do it what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that is just a perfect point. I want you watching this right now to accept that you can do it too. Because if you can think it, you can do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to think it. And if you can see it and think it and want it, and somebody else doesn't, that's okay. It's not their goal. They're not supposed to. And I know when somebody tells me that I can't do something, that just shows me that they can't do it. Not that I can't do it, they can't do it. Because I can do, be, or have whatever I want. And that's thanks to the understanding and awareness that Bob and Kim have led me to. But it's me that became aware of it. I done the work. I know I can do it. I know I can be, do, or have anything. Me, you. But that just comes through awareness, comes through guidance. And again, that is a subconscious belief. And, you know, I know we're coming to the end here, and I wanted to ask you what your favorite chapter was, Brian. But now that I'm on it, my favorite chapter is subconscious. And like, I always laugh that whenever I look at my page, it's the white bits that are highlighted now. It's not the yellow bits anymore, because most of this chapter, most of this book is yellow and underlined. But what the one point, again, we could speak for another hour about the subconscious mind. You know, Bob always talks about the universal mind. You think in images, you take the image, you suppress it on your subconscious mind, and it must you must then vibrate and take action from there, which sets up an opposite and equal reaction, and you get the result. Stickman, you've seen Bob teach it. Again, you've seen, like, look at this. You've seen Bob teach it on the chalkboard with a piece of chalk, and you've seen Kim teach it on an iPad. look at that transformation of the same idea. And it was it was the people that understood the mind that were able to transform the ideas of chalkboards to iPads operating all over the world. From a couple of miles from home, we can stream for all over the world. Like, actually, we can do it from home. Brian's in Maldives, but we're on the same frequency, and you always hear Bob speaking about that. But my point is that when you accept something in your subconscious, you can believe it, because if you think you can't do something, that's just a subconscious belief. And, you know, people always say, well, I don't agree with that. I can't do two things, but you can. You can watch this and start to impress an idea on your subconscious. You can do it while you wash the dishes. What, you know, for example, you can drive your car and listen to the radio at the same time. So that's your subconscious and your conscious mind working at the same time. It's the same as everything. That's why I know when I've got my goal card on one side of me, my affirmations on the other side of me, even though I'm speaking, I'm taking that in, because it's vibration. So it's all going into my subconscious. And there's one line in the whole subconscious chapter that I want to say, and that is, your subconscious is never idle. It's always working. So if you've got something that's always working for you, make it work for you, not against you. And do that by believing that you can do, be, or have whatever you want. Even if you don't know how or don't believe that now, work on the belief. And when the belief must create the fact.
And that's unreal, Kieran, and the fact that it's, you know, it's always working. Like, people think when you go to sleep, it's not, but it's literally always working for you. And it's literally for you and anything that you plant in it. And that goes well with my favorite chapter, which is faith. And faith is absolutely ultimate. But it says, and in the start of it, faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to the infinite intelligence as a case of prayer. You know, there's the subconscious, there's the vibration of thought. When mixed with it, you know, faith is the only thing that'll get you out of it. You got to believe in yourself. You know, that other quote that is very much statement in this here is, whatever the mind of a man can come to conceive and believe, he can achieve. Now, that's one of them there quotes that you always want to keep in your mind, because that is something, and Kieran talked about it, once you're given an idea, you're only given that idea because you're able to achieve it. But it's up to you to have the faith and the belief. Faith doesn't come overnight, but through repetition, through the ideas, through the masterminds, through the decision making, through that self-image, that self-worth. You know, faith for me, it's it's a state of mind. And if we understand the mind, then we can create our state. And if we can create our state, we create our own reality. Kim has taught me so much that I get to be here in this background and this today because of that state of mind that I have induced upon myself, that I am worthy enough, that I am good enough. And it doesn't happen by accident. It does not. There's nothing happen by accident. It's completely transformed. I have right in front of me, as I said to Kieran, we all have in our business. I have my calendar there for work. It's all planned out, but I've got my calendar there for what I do with my partner that I love and my family and my friends. And I know that them 12 months are planned out. So nobody can say to me, oh, it's all about a bit of luck or accidental. Bob says, you can see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. So I just plan out the whole year because I can see it in my mind, and I say everything that I want to love and what I do. And oh, there will be, and it'll just be. It's because it's all non-negotiable, because that's what we learn how to do. It's incredible.
I love that. Yeah. And again, faith is such a strong chapter. And it's all for me around your perception of what the word faith is. And it's belief in yourself. That's what faith is. It's not belief in anything outside of you. And when you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Like in the chapter Faith, it says that every man is what he is because of his dominating thought. Just think about that. Your dominating thought, what you believe about yourself. You are what you are because of what you believe about yourself. Bob always says that he quotes Neville and says that a rich man, poor man, beggar man, or thief aren't different minds. They're different arrangements of the one mind. It's the same as everyone. You are where you are because of the arrangement of your mind. But you can rearrange that. And that's what Bob, that's what Kim, that's what Brian and I both strive to do, is to inspire you through speaking, through sharing our stories of real time. This is real time. Brian and I learning from Bob, applying this, learning from Kim on a daily basis. And, our outside worlds are really starting to shift, starting to change. So accept that you can do that too. And I think that's the best way that we can pay tribute to Bob, not just this week, but forever, is to go be, do, and have all that you can be. He's a master thinker, known for the best person in human potential. And I think the best way that you can honor that is by fulfilling your human potential.
And the only way to do that is figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Strip away your job, strip away your family. So who am I? Kieran says, we're not our hand, we're not our body. Well, that's interesting because you can't say I am hand. That's what Bob always said. He doesn't say you're not your hand. You're no more your hand than you are the man in the moon. It is literally that crazy thing that, who am I? And that's the difference. I've always figured it out by studying me. And that is the only thing. What is it, Kieran? Finish off with the best thing you always say. Bob says, get one thing.
Oh, yeah. And all you're getting, get understanding. That's it. He always quotes Solomon. As Solomon said, and all you're getting, get understanding. Doesn't matter about the words, doesn't matter about the stories, doesn't matter about anything other than how can I take the lessons, the principles, and apply them for me. And that is, again, as I said, when you strive to do that every day, you're not only honoring Bob and Napoleon Hill and the material and the books and the principles, you're honoring yourself, and that's what's important.
That's, for me, that's all you need to ever have to ask. And get understand. Only one way to get understand. Get somebody, listen to that, somebody who's doing what you want to do. And that's the only place you go because they've got to understand because they've got what you want.
Exactly. I know, it's incredible. Well, I think that's the perfect way to end this session. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm incredibly proud of myself that I'm here doing this. And I'm incredibly proud of myself that I'm able to say that and come on and speak to thousands of people just like you, because I know you can do it too. Pick up the book, watch the YouTube, just do something. Take the pen, make a decision, and persist. Again, we done this when nobody was watching. Now we're doing this with thousands of people watching. We're still the same people. We're still Kieran and Brian. We're still going to show up, and the stage is only going to get bigger and bigger. So thanks very much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the week. Remember what this week is all about, is continuing Bob's legacy, honoring it. Do so by doing what he says. Practice what we preach. Show up, work on yourself, and enjoy the rest of the week. Thanks, everyone. Have a